Darren. Glad to see Maryland and road reading. Yeah. Everybody good? I just sent you a note. Yeah, not urgent, not related to this. Hello, guys. How are you? Welcome, Mr. Mayor. Great to see you. I was distracted by Maryland and the road. Speaker. Great to see you. Good to see you guys. Good, buddy. Nice to see you. Speaker, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Governor, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Welcome to the Forum Theater. Yeah, we're so psyched that you're here. Let's go. I've never been here. So the Forum. So welcome to Metuchen. We love when you're here. You know that. Things are great. So how you doing, Greg? So the Forum Theater was built in March of 2020. 1928. It's 96 years old. Yep. Last month, and it was built by James Forgione and H.A. Rummer. And the two of them built this thing and then decided to use part of both of their names to create Forum, which makes sense, right? Modest exterior, the interior is the Art Moderne style, but it means so much to so many people. You hear stories and you talk to people in Metuchen who've been here a while about popcorn fights that they have when they were seeing movies. Their first dates. That was I thought I didn't know anybody was watching. Their first dates. I mean, people don't like to talk about their first kisses, but our chief of police talks about his first kiss here, right in the theater. So you get the idea. This is a place that's ingrained in the psyche of Metuchen. So I'm going to take you around a little bit. What's the capacity? Right now, it's 500 to 600. Okay. Got it.
Small people, and not ADA required.
Okay, exactly.
I can't fit the seats.
Come on in. Thank you. Some candy?
We staged a bit. We got some concessions here.
Is that from 1920?
Exactly. But they're from 2024. Come on up.
The local dentist store.
How are you doing?
Good?
Sorry.
We went to Georgia.
Thank you.
We're going to go this way first. We're going to come to the balcony.
Okay.
That's okay.
After you, I don't know where I'm going.
Okay. Great. So this is probably the additional 100 seats or so. I think maybe not so.
So the 500 to 600 does not include this?
Right, the 500 does not, for sure. So obviously the uses of this thing, it was opened originally as a modern cinema.
Yep.
With a Page organ in 1928. And then when, obviously there were other uses as well, community center, concerts, mass meetings, vaudeville era acts, of course, and other civic and social gatherings, but it was really consistently used up through 1960, very consistently used. First run movies, and then after 1960, the entertainment industry, the entertainment economy changed, and things changed a bit, changed hands to a couple families over time. And up and through the 80s it was active as well. Into the 90s, there was one family that owned it that the borough ultimately purchased it from in 2019. And the most important thing to understand is that the borough became very concerned because time hadn't been so kind on this place, as you can see. And so the borough became concerned that this wouldn't be able to be a theater anymore. And so we swept in with the help of Middlesex County. We gave us a $3.5 million grant to purchase the theater, and we purchased it. And then we used the remaining money to dig in to figure out what could work best here. What would be the best uses? What would be the most, the best business concept from a theater standpoint? And we had the advantage, as terrible as the pandemic was for so many people. We had the advantage of seeing the impact that the pandemic had on so many playhouses in the area and throughout the country. And we were able to sort of build a concept that could potentially face future downturns with strength. And so I think that's the most important thing is figuring out what will work here and what will be successful for the future of Metuchen.
Great. You bought it 5 years ago, right?
We bought it in July 2019.
Yep. And Chris, how long have you been involved in this?
I guess the last year and a half.
Yeah, longer than that, because you were involved as an advisor probably right around 2020 and 19.
So help with the feasibility study and then help with all of assessing the new design.
Yep. A perfect Saturday night here 5 years from now, what's it look like?
we've got concert.
Yep.
We've got maybe a show going on.
Okay.
Maybe a public event with dinner served with for 360 guests.
Great.
Something that brings the community together. Something that people can be proud of this time.
Would you run any movies here?
Absolutely. Movies, comedy. I think it's important. You could have conventions. You can have a wrestling match. You could have anything. In Metuchen, we have wrestling matches. So we have every year in August. We have them on the plaza. And so if it rains, we can have it in here. I mean, there's so much. When the concept here is that what we have works for the 1920s. But in 2024, the concept of keeping the lights on is what keeps the theater in business. And so, what we look to do is build a black box here. What we're looking to do is build a flexible space with a flat floor where you can have anything, basically, that you can fit in the space, whether it's
movable seats.
Movable seats. So the seats would come out from the back wall. They're actually very comfortable, from what I understand. Okay. They come out from the back wall, almost like a gymnasium, but not a gymnasium. And they would come out, and you could put them back, and then you could have the flat floor again. You could bring some of them out. You could do certain things that would work for certain kinds of events and not for others. And in the front, you can see some of the vision that we have for that Chris will get more into talking about later. But you can see the ideas that we have. Yeah, absolutely.
A much bigger version of this is the Ocean Casino in Atlantic City. Obviously, many thousands. But these seats that go in and out, and they
If we could do
Carteret too. The
Carteret can go there.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we could do the Performing Arts Center in New Brunswick over, we'd take one of the theaters and we'd make it more flexible.
Yeah.
The flat floor is very advantageous, particularly for like rock concerts, that kind of thing.
And that's the other thing. I mean, you have the Webster Hall model, where it's 600 people with a stage still, but 600 people standing, and we'll still have the accessibility stuff on the second floor.
Any of this anticipated aesthetic? The stage? Nothing.
We're going to keep what we can.
On the exterior.
Maybe one of the chairs.
Yeah, we'll put it in your house.
You're gonna put it in your yard.
All right, you guys.
I have a seat from the old Boston Garden in my basement. Yeah, good.
I have a Cole Field House. I've graduated at University of Maryland.
Yeah.
And I have a Shea Stadium seat in my son's room.
Is that right? I love that. So you were birds of a feather. I started you did? I read I did a bunch of newsletters that I was reading about this. I love that.
Yeah, you like this stuff.
I love
Weren't you a performer?
I was a performer, yeah.
I've heard that about you. So this is in September.
Which I still am.
This is September of
Maybe we can get an act
1960.
together for 5 years from now.
September of
Perfect
1960.
segment.
Senator John Kennedy running in his 1960 election on his way to New Brunswick. He was I think he went to the Elks for that day. But he's on his way on Main Street, making a left, and you can see the Forum Theater wall. Looks exactly the same, other than the cars, as we have today.
Love it.
Here we got a picture of what the Forum Theater when it first opened, what it looked like on the inside. Not very different from what we have now. Just some dust on the seats.
Yeah.
And you can see, so actually this picture looks like it's very
Funny
old.
thing happened on the way to the Forum. I read about this.
Yeah, that's exactly
I
right.
was
But
in the show.
were you?
Not this
At the
one.
fo-
but
at
I
the
was
Forum?
Yeah, not at the Forum, but I was.
So you could see the marquee. The marquee is the most iconic piece of this place. That and the dark brick wall that it hangs from. And so you can see that the marquee is a newer version. Is the one in this picture is the one we had. But the one that's original, and you can see it's different. It was a different marquee, but they matched it. And the idea would be to do that exact thing. Obviously, is to get matched in the style, the technique, and the feeling that it gives. Because the idea of this place is to make sure that we build it the way people remember it. All right, and that's the most important piece.
Yep.
And people remember, when they remember things, they don't always remember as they are, as they imagined that they were, and that's very different. So you can see this is the first marquee, and we have a picture somewhere, I don't have it up here, but of Gone with the Wind on the marquee. That was the first one.
Hey, John. Good morning.
Hey,
Chris. Congrats on Jade and Jade.
Oh, good. A lot of balls in the air. A lot of balls in the air as well.
Sure. That's good. My son.
You're ready?
Oh, look at this, yeah.
So the concept here, go ahead, Chris.
So, the concept is to create a flat floor black box. This is actually a stage. The seats will be pushed back in. The first 4 rows will actually be indented, and then we'll take the seats out and put a floor in. This will be totally flat, could be used for all kinds of events. And when you said a perfect Saturday, you should be able to do a breakfast meeting in the morning and do a show at night.
Great.
You should be able to convert this very quickly. The thought is to keep the facade
Yep.
as historically correct as possible. This is an addition. So all the back of the house, the dressing rooms, the bathrooms, catering kitchen, storage, will all be, this wall will come down and will be off to here.
Okay.
But again, trying to,
So this is extended?
yeah.
From
this piece
where?
From here.
Okay.
This will be an extension, so this will all be new.
So when you pull up, you say, well, this has been here the whole time, but there's something special, there's something new about
Yep.
it, but I can't tell unless I put the finger on it.
And then this shows you kind of the classic stage. So there will be, you'll appreciate this, there'll be 3 catwalks.
Okay.
So you'll be able to do lighting throughout, if you're using it as a flat floor or whatever, stage, and then approximately 355 permanent seats.
Permanent seats.
Well, permanant as in they'll come out.
They'll
they're
come out.
here.
Okay.
And
They're
there'll be
seats.
stadium seating.
Correct.
And then this will raise.
The stage will be here. What we'll actually do is these 4 rows, we're going to lower them. And then that raised seating comes out, so it'll look exactly
Those 4 rows there, he's describing.
And what's up in the balcony?
seating.
Okay.
balcony seating.
Okay. Is this
And not in the back.
Is this seating as well? on the
Yes,
side?
that's the seating. We're not actually.
So nothing up there?
Yeah, most likely not put any seating there.
Got it.
We'll probably move some of the technology out to be able to do film.
But if you're talking about pushing the wall down, as we talked about, and going out this way,
Yep.
and you think to the end of the property line where the parking lot is currently. Yeah, you think about it, but you can fit 500 or so seats down here, who's counting, right? And then even with going this way, with the ADA requirements,
Yep.
it only would fit 350 or so.
something, yeah.
But that's, that makes it obviously makes it compliant and required. And, even when you have, for example, you still have the seats for when you have an event down here where
Yep.
people who have to stand, there'll be places where people will sit and be accessible. There'll be an elevator on that side. That's an expansion, as Chris described.
This is a little bit of the Lincoln Center when they reopened. I don't know when that was, within the past couple of years. Has a similar feel up there.
The old Avery Fisher?
Yeah. The old Avery Fisher, yeah.
Geffen.
Definitely, correct. Got to make sure you get your $100 million worth out of that. Right? Very cool.
How long does it take to construct?
Probably 18 months.
We're hoping that we can get this done by 2026, sometime in 26.
Hopefully to go in the ground next spring.
And the funding's coming from EDA.
Well, we'll apply.
That's always the thing that you guys sent us, which was great in December.
This will work for here, it'll work for the Great Falls Visitor Center, the National Park, it'll work for Symphony Hall Newark, a variety of
It's exactly the type, I can't speak for the board, obviously, at the process, but it's exactly the type of thing that was made for.
It's had huge impact.
Huge. And you're starting on a very good place. You're already America's great main street. You've already got that.
Thanks
one
for
under your
remembering,
belt.
Governor. Yeah, we tried.
No, seriously, I mean,
Well, you think
this is not like you're trying to salvage
No.
your situation. This is the cherry on the
And we're
That's
ready
great.
for it. And look, the bottom line is on a Tuesday night. You said a Saturday night. On a Tuesday night, if there's a play here,
Yeah.
that's going to be more seats.
bet.
The restaurant's filled. That's going to be more people shopping beforehand. Even the dance shows for some of these kids in our community, obviously, is a very active community and tons of children and families. They're going to places, amphitheaters, 30, 40 minutes away. Keep those people here, and then beforehand and after, they're eating in town. They're hanging out in town.
The impact we see in New Brunswick, we have over 400,000 people a year come to our theater. They pay to park, they go to dinner, they rent apartments.
Yeah.
So
That's a significant
on this scale, this could have that same type of impact.
And Metuchen already has a great influx of people coming in from restaurants and little shops, and now this is just like
You're
the cap of the whole thing right at the end.
Cause parking problem.
South Main.
You're gonna lose the 7 spots outside.
But on a serious note, we're not that far from Andrew.
We did train rides in summer. And we're in New Brunswick, and then, maybe we'll take a move home, maybe we're back on the train, but
So we have 1,800 seats in the stadium. We have 480 seats in Johnson Theater, and then 280 seats in Arthur Walsh Theater.
Good size. Good size.
Just get the acoustics right, which is the fun part.
Yeah.
And get the right technology. The technology means everything. And allows you to use it for more people.
Governor, when we started doing the analysis with the consultants post-COVID, we started realizing how do you weather these storms if they were coming in. One of the things we looked at was the concept that that there may be some performances where you could use 500 or 600 seats, but they were so few and far between as compared to the average
This is the sweet spot for
200-300 person, and so you hit the right place. You don't want to build too much, right? And you don't want to build too much, spend too much on something that you don't necessarily get your return on. That's the key, because theaters don't make money, but you have to find a way to sustain it clearly.
And it complements what's in New Brunswick. And that's the like that create a regional solution. That's important. Otherwise, you're going to saturate the market.
The director and the county administrator have been unbelievable in putting this together. I mean, helping us. Yeah, $3.5 million grant was a true seed for us. It's been taken a long time, but it's deliberative, hard work, and careful concern, obviously. And then obviously the speaker's office and your office helped us to have a vision of the future.
It's going to be a game changer. Again, starting in an already really strong place, which is
next phase.
Next phase. Great. Person I want to tune
I'm just going to do what you tell me to do. Okay. Where are we doing this?
We're doing it right outside.
Okay.
Places.
Places, okay. This is the theater. Places, everyone.
How are you? It's great to see you.
I didn't realize you were a Metuchen guy.
Yes. I love that. The mayor is, how are you? Good to see you. I really appreciate it.
Mayor, do you want to sit here?
Where do you want us?
Gov, you can in
Okay.
right
I think
here.
Jason's starting.
Speaker?
I'm first.
Yes. Speaker, do you want standing right here? You.
Oh.
Yep, perfect. We can just have you stand in the front. Perfect. Back, we're gonna close these doors. And then, excuse me, County Director Office, right here on this side, just so you can balance the shot. And I will be getting out of it because
Okay.
nobody wants to see me.
A little bit? Okay.
Good morning. Let me start by thanking the Mayor of Metuchen, Jonathan Bush, for the invitation to be here on this exciting day. I'm Jason Geary, a proud Metuchen resident who is thrilled to be on hand to celebrate the restoration of the Forum Theater and to acknowledge the significance of this endeavor that promises to be the crowning achievement of a successful effort to revitalize the beating heart of downtown Metuchen. I offer this perspective with a vested interest in the outcome of this project, not only as a resident of this diverse and vibrant arts-loving community, but also as someone with a unique perspective, owing to my background as a pianist, my career as a musicologist, and my current role as Dean of Mason Gross School of the Arts at Rutgers University, where I also serve as Senior Vice Provost for Academic Initiatives on the New Brunswick campus. It's in my capacity as Dean of the state's flagship Visual and Performing Arts Conservatory, overseeing some 1,100 students pursuing degrees in music, theater, dance, art, design, and filmmaking, that I feel equipped to weigh in on the important role of the Forum Theater in the broader arts ecosystem of New Jersey. Building on a proud tradition that dates back to the vaudeville era of the 1920s, the Forum Theater stands poised to retake its rightful place among a network of small to medium-sized theaters in central New Jersey that bring vibrancy to our region, that support the careers of both budding and established artists, that stimulate local economies, and that illustrate the importance of the arts as a contributor to culture and a shared sense of community. I also, in my role as Dean, see firsthand the value of the arts in shaping the world around us for the better. Think for a moment about just what it is that the arts do. They challenge and inspire us by holding a mirror up to society. They help us see in the everyday and the ordinary, the miraculous and the extraordinary. And by touching our emotions and moving our souls, they remind us of what it means to be human. And at a time when our nation and our world is facing so much division and disunity, we desperately, desperately need the arts to help us recognize the humanity, not just in ourselves, but in others, especially in those with whom we disagree or perceive as different. In short, the arts guide us along a path toward empathy, something our world is sorely lacking. And that's why I'm so grateful to live in a state with a governor who recognizes the importance of the arts, a self-avowed theater kid, and who also appreciates the role of the arts as a driver of economic and social mobility and as a means of revitalizing communities. And so, as a Metuchen resident, as Dean of Mason Gross School of the Arts, and as an arts leader in New Jersey, I'm thrilled that the governor has turned his eye toward the Forum Theater as proof of his deep and abiding commitment to the arts. And that's why it's my great honor and my great privilege to say thank you and to welcome to the podium Governor Phil Murphy.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. The Mason Gross School is an absolute gem in our state, and you as its leader are likewise a gem, and I thank you for your inspired words and your very gracious introduction. I want to further thank Metuchen's Mayor Jonathan Bush. I'll be coming back to you in a moment. Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin, a Middlesex guy. Ron Rios, the Commissioner Director. I want to thank you, Ron and John, for your extraordinary work generally and specifically to this project. And Chris Palladino, who's representing DevCo, is somewhere behind me, who is going to be the who will be the developer of this absolute gem. As Jason alluded, I am a recovering thespian, and as a freshman in college, I appeared in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. And I was thinking of that, written by Stephen Sondheim, by the way. He had written the lyrics for West Side Story, but this was his first so-called baby where he was doing the whole show. And I was thinking on the way driving here this morning, a funny thing is happening on the way to the Forum. And it's great to be here. This is a gem. It's 96 years young. It is absolutely ripe for a new vision for the 21st century. And I can't say enough good things about Jonathan and the Middlesex County folks and the speaker's leadership on really putting a vision in place where they really took their time to make sure they got this right. I can't speak for the Economic Development Authority, but I guarantee you the speaker sent to my desk in December something called the Cultural Arts Incentive Program. This is purpose-built for that kind of project, Speaker. So again, they've got their own process, which we have to respect, but this is exactly what we all had in mind when that program, that incentive program, began to take shape. As I said to Jonathan, it's not like he's trying to turn around Metuchen. Metuchen is already one of the quintessential, not just New Jersey communities, but American communities. In fact, last year you were awarded the Great American Main Street of the Year. So you're starting in an extraordinary place. And this will be, I said inside, this will be the cherry on top of the sundae that will just transform this. And we were also discussing, Chris and the Middlesex guys all have deep history in New Brunswick. You've seen what that State Theater means there. The folks who take a train or drive, park their car, pay for dinner, maybe stay overnight in a hotel, maybe ultimately rent an apartment, whatever it might be. So it's not just the narrow interests of an institution like this, it's the spider web that it spreads into not just Metuchen first and foremost for sure, but also Middlesex County and all of central Jersey. It's also right-sized. It feels to me that it's exactly in that sweet spot. I think, Chris, you said 355 seats, which feels like it's going to be right there in terms of getting a whole spectrum of different entertainment and other cultural and community activities in here. So I'm incredibly honored to be here today. I thank the mayor, I thank our brethren in Middlesex County for hosting me. Again, Jason, thank you for your leadership in the arts, and with that, please help me welcome a great leader, a great partner in government, the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin.
Thank you for letting me be here today. It is really a special
special day. It is because we get to respect and remember the history of Metuchen and take a glimpse into what the future will be as this incredible borough continues to grow and develop. You know, it likes to call itself the Brainy Borough, and that's true, but it's more than that. It's become a dining mecca. It's become a hub and a charming downtown area. As the governor pointed out, it's been recognized nationally for the special place that it is. And it's always been a particularly special place to me. I met my wife here in Metuchen nearly 60 years ago when she was a little girl dancing at a ballet school just down around the corner where the Metuchen Savings used to be. And our moms became and remained friends, and we've had each other in our lives now for nearly 60 years, as I said. So, and it all goes back right here to Metuchen. So that's really kind of special. And this is just another step, not just another step, it's a big step. As the governor talked about, you know, this is already a community who's really at the top of its game, but this is gonna give it the opportunity to really top that game off. And as the governor alluded to, this is exactly the kind of thing that we had imagined when we passed the legislation to allow this to help become true. And you know, we have really seen great renaissance throughout the state. Great downtowns, which are important for communities. New Brunswick, we've talked about, but Morristown with the Mayo and the Green, and Princeton with McCarter Theater, and the University, Broadway with its Performing Arts Center, which has just developed into just a marvelous downtown, a place where people love to go and spend time. And Metuchen is fortunate to have a tremendous leader in Mayor Bush, who's just done an extraordinary job at continuing to move the borough forward. As we said, it doesn't need to go far, but because it's already special. But you know, each and every step of the way, Mayor Bush has been a true leader in doing that. And with Devco at the helm, and we've seen the tremendous work that Chris and his team have done in New Brunswick, we can expect just something special right here, something spectacular that I think we'll all look forward to coming to. With, you know, it also evidences coming together at every level, at the state, at the local, and at the county level. We have a tremendous leader, John Palomino, here as the administrator, but the direction of the Commissioner Director, Ron Rios, who is a staple in making sure that great things happen in the county of Middlesex is right here. And so I think we all look forward to the night when we can come back. We'll have dinner, we'll see a show, and we'll enjoy this theater as so many other people did over the decades. So you can imagine folks walking in here 75 years ago and coming to this window, and getting a ticket and going to do something special. The first night, the excitement that must have been around here. So terrific day. Hope the ADA will approve it, like its chances, quite honestly, because it is exactly as the governor suggests what we had in mind when we created this legislation, when he governor who passed it. And to the governor, thank you for your great leadership in recognizing how important arts are to the community. I think that's why you're seeing such a great development. Community centers are being built, performing art theaters being built throughout the state, because we recognize it's an economic advantage to the community, gives it an identity, makes people feel special about the place where they live. So thanks everybody for being here to celebrate it. I look forward to seeing you all again when the place opens and having dinner together. Thanks.
Thank you, Speaker, and thanks to everybody for being here. Thank you to the governor for coming to this place. For so long we've thought, imagine we can get the state to really think about us here at Metuchen at the Forum Theater. I mean, obviously we know what Metuchen means to New Jersey. We know what it means to Middlesex County, and that's because we have incredible partners, obviously, in the freeholder, excuse me, the Commissioner Director, Ron Rios. We have our County Administrator, John Palomino. And, you know, look, this is part of something bigger. This is a part of supporting the arts in general. Metuchen is just one place that has something like the Forum Theater, but there are Forum Theaters throughout New Jersey. And it's extraordinarily important that the state has finally really understood that there's a great way to provide, you know, places that time hasn't been so kind to. You know, this theater is beautiful in our minds and in our hearts, but at the end of the day, it's worn down. It's 96 years old. It opened on March 6th, 1928, and as the speaker described, people came through here and saw the first show. It was a film. At the time, it was for films, it was for concerts, it was for
vaudeville era acts, and it was a social hall of sorts. It was a place for community meetings. And the future of Forum Theater in 2026, we're hoping to open the new version of the Forum Theater. I would expect it'll be very similar. We may not have the vaudeville era acts, but we're going to have all kinds of stuff: comedy, film. We'll have social events. There'll be a way to have dinner for many people. We're hoping to do a black box, flexible space concept. So this is going to be in some ways serve the community the exact same way it's always served. You know, people talk about this place as the place where they had popcorn fights with their friends. They talk about their first date. And I'm going to embarrass the chief of police, who describes apparently his first kiss was held in the seats behind me. But the bottom line is this means so much to people, and whatever we do, we've got to build this the way people remember it, because those memories mean something to many people. I want to thank in particular our council president is here, Jason Delia, our council member Dorothy Gemboy is here, council member Tyler Kendall's back there somewhere, as well as council member Lisa Hyman. And I know the other council members wish they could be here, but this is a work day, a school day, if you will. Maybe it's not a school day if you're on spring break, but this is extraordinary. And thank you so much all for being here, and to the state for helping us and others possibly realize our potential is extraordinary, because these places would not have otherwise had this opportunity, and now we have some hope. So thanks so much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm grateful to be here at the Forum Theater to discuss the next steps of the Metuchen Arts District. First and foremost, I commend Mayor Bush, the town council, and all the talented people who have put so much time and effort into making the vision of the Metuchen Arts District a reality. My colleagues and I on the Board of County Commissioners were proud to support this vision in 2019 with a $3.5 million grant from the Middlesex County Cultural and Arts Trust Fund. I applaud the leadership of Governor Murphy, Speaker Coughlin, and the entire legislature for creating the Cultural Arts Incentive Program at the NJEDA, which will provide crucial support to the arts, education, entertainment, and so much more. This project is one of many examples of what we practice here in Middlesex County. Thoughtful, deliberate collaboration, which delivers results for our families and our communities. We do this by design. Arts and culture is a key driver for the county's economic growth and is the cornerstone strategy to improve our communities. After touring the Forum Theater today with the governor, the speaker, the mayor, and their teams, I'm incredibly excited about the future of the Metuchen Arts District. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Hey, everybody, coming at you from the Forum Theater in Metuchen as a recovering actor. I'm honored to be here. This is going to get completely reimagined. I take my hat off to Metuchen, to Middlesex County, Speaker Coughlin in particular, who tweaked our cultural incentives program at the Economic Development Authority. And they've got their own process, but I will just tell you, this sort of project is exactly what they had in mind when they pursued this. So thrilled to be here. Take any quick questions you have.
How much money are they looking for from the?
I don't know the exact amount. The program has limits. It requires a significant local share, which is always a good element of an incentive program. You want to make sure that the community is putting forward their own resources. That's a model that we used in the Boardwalk Fund that we just announced a few weeks ago. I'll let the mayor come back now, if we could follow up just on the total amount. And again, the program isn't quite yet set up at the EDA, so this is something, I don't want to speak for their board or for their process, but again, this is exactly in the sweet spot of what they envision when they put the program in. Hey, David.
Hi. The other day, you told the business group that the corporate transit tax, or whatever its name is, I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
Corporate transit fee.
Fee. That it in your mind had a sunset, but I don't know if you said anything about fares, whether there was a sunset for the 3% fare every year, and is that fair to tell users of mass transit that they're gonna have to pay forever, and the corporate side doesn't?
You're largely, your premise is accurate, so thank you for that.
That's a new one.
Exactly. NJ Transit is in a hole, but we never said it was in a hole for financially. Operationally, it's dramatically improved. It still has a ways to go for sure, but it's a different organization than we inherited 6.5 years ago as an operational matter. It has a big financial hole, as you and I have discussed. Virtually every large transit operation in America does, and the MTA in New York City, quite famously, is trying to solve that in the back of New Jersey commuters, which we're not going to let happen. So we're going to try to solve this within the four walls of New Jersey. It's a combination of a restructuring by NJ Transit. It's the state of New Jersey continuing to put resources into NJ Transit. It's a fare increase, yes, 15%. Last administration, 38%, with a shell of a company at that point relative to what it is now, in this corporate transit fee. It has never been my assumption that this is forever and always a huge fiscal hole to be filled. NJ Transit needs to find its way toward being able to stand, if not on its own, largely on its own, or more on its own than it can today. So what that looks like and when it occurs to be determined, but we're not going to ask folks to keep putting money into something that's actually on its feet financially down the road and doesn't need that. So no news to break in terms of when or who.
But you're saying, yes, if you pay a fare, then you're paying forever.
I've said exactly what I said, David. What else?
Speaking of congestion pricing,
Yes.
help us out. Is there any update on what we're
Well,
doing?
timing is interesting. So the MTA voted for it last week. I think 11-1, if I recall, on its board. There is a hearing. There are hearings tomorrow and Thursday in front of a federal judge in Newark, where we will be presenting our side. The MTA presumably will be there presenting theirs. Remember, our main legal action has been to sue to ask the Biden administration, the Department of Transportation, to actually do a full-bore environmental impact study. And we've said, by the way, we'll live with the results of that, but that's the fair, right thing to do here, given that you're not eliminating pollution, you're displacing it from Manhattan to New Jersey, and you're charging our commuters an exorbitant fee on top of that. So that's the suit, and obviously we think we've got a good case. I don't want to talk further about a legal matter, but we're going at it again tomorrow and Thursday, and we'll see where that judge comes out.
Could I ask one more question?
Please.
Several months ago, you had the press conference in Clinton, New Jersey about trying to help other small towns, small downtowns expand with the liquor license issue. Is there an update on that at all?
I don't have a specific update, but there's a process that's underway. We have about 1,500 so-called pocket licenses, and then a whole other range, I'm not sure the exact number that will get freed up in the mall settings, but that process has begun, early stages. It requires a fair amount of work to make sure that process is respectful and consistent with the legislation. But it's begun. I can't give you an exact moment in time when you'll be able to have your first beer at one of these new restaurants. But again, you look at a community like this. Back to this, I asked John Palomino, who is the business administrator, I said, presumably this place will have a liquor license. And he said, yeah, presumably you have to go through that process. But you look at what they're imagining in here, and you can see, that's a home run use of matching of a license to a use. For instance, they've got a rendering there. If you haven't seen it, it's worth looking at. With a big dinner, you can imagine a fundraising dinner on the floor of what is a black box, and having a really special celebration. Dave.
What is the impact, do you think, on the New Jersey's political landscape of the elimination of the party line system?
I mean, to be determined, obviously, and there's a legal matter also that I'm not going to comment on, which is ongoing. To be determined. I love what Chairman Leroy Jones put out a few days ago, which is, party organizations are about a lot of things, not just ballot structure. It's first and foremost about recruiting great Democratic candidates who believe in the values of our party, getting them to take the big step to run and helping them get elected. It's about putting all of our energies into defeating the looming presence of Donald Trump 6 or 8 months from now. So to be determined at one level, but again, I don't want folks out there to think that the only thing a party organization in a county does is structure the ballot. They do so much more than that.
In the event that the order stands and that the office block style is going to be used, is there any plan to up voter education as to how those ballots would be used or anything like that?
It's a good suggestion. I defer to the Secretary of State, who happens to be our Lieutenant Governor. She's been outstanding. We've opened voting access up significantly over the past 6.5 years, and I'd love to find ways to continue to do that. And I think voter education is a great point. We did a lot of that when we did all mail-in, vote by mail ballots during the pandemic. We had a huge amount of voter education, and it paid off with record turnout. So my guess is the answer is yes. Thank you all. Appreciate you coming out. Where am I now? Am I going here or here? Thank you.